What's up, my dudes? Welcome back to PLB Green. This is an Australian native. It's some sort of gum. Please tell me if you know which type of gum it is in the comments. I'm sure that it is easily identifiable. I haven't done much research on Australian eucalyptus, but I do know a few things. First thing, they're really, really hard to keep as bonsais. In my opinion. I've got a few Australian native trees in my bonsai collection, and when they flourish, man, they flourish. But they are extremely sensitive. They're really difficult to root prune because the roots don't like having all of the soil stripped back from them and washed off. And also, branches randomly die. Even if you leave foliage on the end of a branch when you prune it, there's no guarantee that that branch is going to live. And one year you might have like a beautiful sweeping branch, and then the next minute it did. So you've got to be prepared to love and hate the Australian eucalyptus bonsai. I definitely love more than hate, and I'm really looking forward to increasing my experience with them because they're such beautiful trees. This is a new tree to my collection. It's been recently purchased online, and it needs work. There's a lot of dead branches. The soil it's in is rather poor quality. Saying that though, I won't be able to take all of the soil off. I'm just too trepidatious. I've had too many bad experiences bare rooting Australian native trees, bonsais, and them just dying because they're quite sensitive to being bare rooted. I'm just going to take off some of the soil around the root base. Not all of it. I promise, tree. Alright. Let us begin. I'm going to start with a top prune. This is the front for sure, because I don't want to see this big old ugly cut point. So I will treat this as the front of the tree, just to remind myself, because I do tend to forget. I'm going to put one of these little sticks in. There we go. Whee! Alright. Red scissors of destiny. So, there are a lot of dead branches on here, so let's start by taking those off. This one here. Ooh. This one crossing over the middle. It's dead and it crosses over the middle. You gotta go, buddy. Now, this one isn't dead all the way. It is dead up to here, there, and there. Then a little dead section there. I'm pretty sure this whole branch over here is dead. And by pretty sure, I mean absolutely sure. And then all of these ones along the back. So that's a shame. It's a real shame. Here's a pruning stub. Some dead stuff up in here. It gets a bit thicker. We got dead. This there. And this whole bit here is dead too. Let's go for that. That off. Back to the trusty old reds there. Tip. There. There. See what I mean when I say I mean, a lot of these are pruning tips, so it's not as bad as it looks. But there were quite a few branches that just died back. I'm not sure how they were pruned in the past though, because this tree is kind of new to me. Alright, now we can look at some of the branch selection. This one is interesting. Interesting meaning not great. First of all, it comes out of probably the main leader of the tree in towards the center of the tree, crosses the other main leader here. But even if I took it back to there, this remaining branch sticks straight up and is an eye poker, which might not be so bad. No, it would be horrible. So I think that's got to go. Better already. I'm just going to clean up that cut point with my branch pruners, making it concave. So when the tree grows over, it has more of a flush look rather than a bump. Oh yeah, that looks much better already. I really like that change. It's just a small change. Now, unfortunately, you can't plant these as cuttings as far as I know. I'll give it a shot. There's no harm in trying, but I don't think you can do gums as cuttings. We'll have to see. This middle branch here, out of the three, it's 1 into 1, 2, 3, and this one just comes straight up and then goes towards the middle. Take that off. Then another pruning stump. I don't know why the leaves on this one are dying back, but they seem to be. There's another dead branch. It's still alive. Another dead branch, another pruning tip. This little guy goes straight in towards the center. Take him off. And I kind of like the rest. I like this bushy canopy. I don't want to take too much off the tree. These kind of collide, these two branches here, so maybe I'll take that off. Yeah. Yeah. That looks pretty good. Yeah, as I said, I'm not going to take much off. Just a little quick tidy up. And who knows which of the remaining branches will actually remain. There's a fair bit of crossover back here between these two, but I'm okay with that. I kind of like the higgledy-piggledy canopy. This one also comes in towards the center, but there's not much else on this branch, and I do want to keep this branch for now. It'll probably come off in the future, but for now I'm going to keep it. Now let's work on the surface roots and this cut point here. I'm going to use my branch pruners, and I'm not going to take too much of this away. I just want to make it a little bit more rough so it doesn't quite look as if it's just been cut off in a straight line. So, you know, kind of rough it up a bit, cut it, come at it from different angles, gnaw at it here and there, and kind of blend it, pull chunks off, yeah, like that, and blend it in to the remaining stump a little more, just so it doesn't stand out as an active cut with a blade. Yeah, I think that's much better. Alright, this root here seems to be, yeah, that root there, which is a shame because it was such a cool thick surface root. It looks like it's died away, and I'll just leave it like that. I just snapped it off, and I quite like That snap point looks pretty good. This is all living tissue down under here. Okay. So let's turn it around now. This is still the front, and I'll just take this out, and we're going to try and lever the tree out of the pot. I'm going to go around with the tail end of my root rake. Loosen up the roots that are up against the side of the pot. Now this pot has a lip on it where it comes up and then goes in a bit. So this tree might be quite difficult to get out. Maybe not. You might just have to force it a little. Ooh. Bugs. Look at that dude. What is it? I might save this moss, it's kind of cool. Alright, I'm going to wash that pot up a little later. But I'll save some of this moss. And I'll put it back on top of the planting once I'm done. Now, as I said, easy, careful, careful. Don't take too much soil off the base. Hold, hold. We don't want to disturb the roots too much. Okay, so I'm just going around and I'm raking out in a radial direction from the trunk, getting rid of the outer parts of the soil, but not all of it. We're not going to wash this off. We're not going to expose these roots completely. There's no way the tree would survive, at least from my experience. So that, I think, is enough from the top. Lift her up. Ooh, look at all these roots circling the bit of a trim. Rake off a bit from the bottom. And I think that will be enough. I am just too cautious when dealing with Australian natives. I don't want to expose the roots too much. The root ball will remain partially covered in this poor quality soil, but it should grow into the new bonsai soil and give me more of a chance to work on the root base in its future. There we go. Yeah, you can't be too picky with Australian natives. You're gonna treat them cautiously, to say the least. The pot's all nice and tidy, and I've chosen a front for the pot. I know a lot of people always say, this is the front of my tree, this is the back of my tree, and they give their tree a face. Well, it's kind of the same with the bonsai pots. Even though this isn't an amazing pot, it is pretty nice in terms of the white color and then the flashes of blue here and there. So this side is less blue, and there's less staining of blue. So I'm going to go with this side. I just like the texture more and the different color tones. My trusty fly screen to block the drainage holes. And I'm going to get an initial layer of very light and fluffy cacti and succulent mix, which is essentially the same thing as the bonsai mix sold at your regular nursery or hardware store. So I'm putting a thin layer of soil in. Then I can simply take our tree that has the partially covered root base with the original soil, place it in the pot. Now, I'm not sure if I think I want it slightly off to this side. If you're facing the tree, the right hand side, just ever so slightly. Now we can fill in the rest of the space, pushing the roots in a radial pattern and down in the direction we want them growing. And again, I don't really have to put much soil in here because we're kind of combining the old soil with the new stuff, the new soil, which is of a much higher quality. And we'll gradually, over time, because it's an Australian native, we will gradually change the soil. So 100% of the soil will end up being this higher quality kind of bonsai mix. But we can't do it all at once. It's just not possible. So it's looking pretty good. I'm not going to push the soil really, really tightly down into the pot because the roots of the tree like it light and fluffy. It doesn't want really compact soil. The roots will grow a lot quicker and a lot more freely if the soil is still secure and pushed down, but just not extremely compact. So it should be compact enough so when I water it, you see the water drain through pretty instantly. You don't want it pooling on the top because the soil's being pushed in too tightly. So, putting the soil up just below the lip of the pot so it doesn't spill out when I go to water the tree. I think that should do it for the soil. It's a shame we lost that large kind of root. It was quite a feature that I did enjoy to this tree. So we have the front of the tree here. Just mark it with my stick. Then we have the left side of the tree, the back of the tree, the right hand side of the tree, and then back to the front. And you can see I've added in those little moss tufts that I pulled off before I started repotting. And when you do that, it's important to push the moss tufts quite solidly down into the top soil. Otherwise the moss will dry out and it won't spread. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that. It's a cute little tree. Fingers crossed that I didn't take too much soil off the root base. But a nice little update for my Australian eucalyptus gum. Ciao, buddies! See you next time.